Greetings, brothers and sisters. Stay calm. I just want to remind everybody to stay calm. The first thing I want to say is I am now every other day, I do short videos on both my channels. So today I'll do a long video on this channel and I'll release my short videos on my Apocalypse Now channel. And because of the way YouTube algorithms work, the more content you produce, they're not going to notify people for everything. Because I'm getting lots of messages saying, oh, I'm not getting notified. I'm also getting messages where people are saying, oh, I've lost your channel and I couldn't find it for, a year. Something like that. And so the way to go about that, you have a, bookmark function in your browser, or you can leave open tabs up for my channel or other channels or whatever it is, and you won't miss any content. I had like 9 epic short videos about Hoda and Al Roker and things over there. They're just funny and kind of interesting. I got 3 more today on my other channel, Apocalypse Now, that didn't get very many views because people aren't getting notified, and they're really kind of good short videos, right? Like I said, the notifications only work for usually one video, and maybe not even that, per channel per day. And so you're not going to get notifications. So you have to go to the channel, and there's content every day. I do a video every other day here, a long one, and on my other channel, and then the opposite day I do short videos, so there's content every day. But having said that, I'm overwhelmed by all the things I have to cover today here. And, I'm getting links sent to me. I had 9 messages on Instagram. And usually if I get like 9 messages on Instagram, 7 of them will be this celebrity died, or, 3 will be one person died, and 4 will be another person died. They'll be very similar. People will send me the same things. And then I'll go to my Pockets of the Future message, and there'll be 3, 4 messages. Then there'll be maybe some links people send me. Once in a while, people send me an email. And all of these 9 links today were things I'm going to cover either here or on my other channel. And it's just an overwhelming day, because I was going to cover this International Women's Day when the Tucker Carlson thing sort of overwhelmed that in my last video. And then I was still going to cover the women's thing today. It has to do with Fetterman's wife and, basketball and a couple of movie clips and all this stuff to do with feminism. Jane Fonda wanting to murder people for a right to abort, whatever it is, or a women's right to abort, all these things. So I'll get to that. There's some leftover stuff from Tucker Carlson. And like I said, it's going to be disorganized because I can't keep all this stuff. It was just coming in so fast. There's so many people sending me things. And, my wife sends me things as well. And, all this stuff to do with the bank. And so I'm going to try to organize this as best I can. Like some of the stuff I just pushed over to my other channels thing, even though it might be covered today here, because I have too much stuff to get to. And, I'm delaying. So it seems like I'm stalling right now, but let's get into it. So I'm going to cover the bank things and the bank thing, and then I'm going to do a little voiceover about it. What's going on here, and, this has been going on for a while. But it's big news. Silicon Valley Bank CEO to investors, stay calm and don't panic. Regulators shut down Silicon Valley Bank in biggest collapse since 2008 financial crisis. The FTC took over the lender, the 16th largest U.S. bank and tech industry favorite, after a run on deposits and concerns about broader crisis that led investors to dump other bank stocks. Here's what they say here.
Alarm outside headquarters of Silicon Valley Bank in Santa Clara, California today.
They just came.
Let's go back here. These people aren't going to get their money, and I'll explain that as we go through this.
Clara, California today.
They just came out and told us that the bank is shut down.
SVB, the 16th largest bank in the U.S. with $175 billion in deposits, is now the biggest American bank to fail since the 2008 financial crisis. Its customers are primarily businesses and investors in the tech sector.
The root cause of the failure here was a sudden and significant increase in interest rates. which, that part of the job of a bank is to manage interest rate risk.
We just didn't do it. Now you're screwed. We lost your money.
And that didn't happen here.
Earlier this week, SVB disclosed it took a loss on the sale of bonds due to rising interest rates and announced it would sell shares to shore up its balance sheet. Its stock price plunged and customers rushed to take their money out.
That's all it takes.
The FDIC now stepping in, telling customers they will be able to access funds by Monday, but the guaranteed amount per depositor, $250,000.
So, you get some of your money out, but not all of it. Some of your money's just disappeared. It's gone forever.
A heart-stopping moment of this bank is done.
Ashley Trenier is the CEO of healthcare startup Farmbox RX. Unable to access her money today, she fears she could be out more than $10 million.
$250,000 isn't a ton of money.
Yeah, you're out $10 million. She's out $10 million. That's what's happened to you. Okay, so I'm in the editing process. I've done a voiceover already that's going to be after this segment is done. But what I didn't cover is fractional reserve banking. And let me read what it says about fractional reserve banking. It says fractional reserve banking is a system in which only a fraction of the bank's deposits are required to be available for withdrawal. A fraction of it, right? Whatever that fraction is. So let's say collectively you and your fellow patrons of that bank have $100 million of your money, your collective money in the bank. They only have to have a fraction of that, maybe $200,000 in the bank so that people can withdraw it. So if you go to withdraw your money from the bank and you say you have $1 million and you go to withdraw $1 million, they don't have it there. And by law, they're not required to have your money there. And your money isn't even there. It isn't even in the banking system. It's been lent out. Because the other part is this. Banks only need to keep a specific amount of cash on hand and can create loans from the money you deposit. Fractional reserves work to expand the economy by freeing capital for lending. So they can lend your money out. And another part of the fractional reserve is the amount of money that they have to have in the bank to loan out money. So they can loan out your money, but also they can loan out 12. It used to be 12 to 1 was the ratio. So they could lend out $1,200 for every $100 they had in the bank. So let's say you deposit $100, the bank can then loan out to somebody else $1,200 based on your $100, which is a part of that. And so your money doesn't exist in the bank. So when I said you're not getting your money back, well, you're never going to get your money back, right? When you go to the bank, you're getting whatever money they have on hand, but it isn't like they're taking it out of the account like you have some safety deposit box in the vault, and they take your money out of your safety deposit box and they put your money back in. Your money's already been lent out, and it doesn't even exist in cash. You deposit it as a check, and it's never cash. Your money is never, there's not specific money that's your money. Like if you have money in your wallet, it has serial number. It's a specific, $10 bill or $50 bill or $100 bill or dollar bill or even coins, and that's specifically your money. But in the bank, you don't have any specific money set aside for you. And if everybody shows up and says, we don't have it, and there isn't enough cash to go around in terms of the country, if everyone got their money, which I talk about in the voiceover. And so this is fractional reserve banking. People don't know about it, but it means that your money isn't your money. It's already been used by the bank. You're giving your money over to the bank who's holding your money, not holding your money. They're using your money, investing your money, and you may not get it back. And the money that they're getting back here is from the FDIC, right, which is insurance, federal insurance, which they'll cover up to $250,000 per person. It might be more or less depending on the bank or whatever, but it is an insurance policy. The money they're getting is insurance money. It's not bank money, right? And so the insurance companies are going to write the FDIC, it's the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, which may or may not even be federal. It could be something that's privatized. Like, I don't even know. I'm not even going to look into it, but you can if you're interested. But it is insurance. So the FDIC is going to give the bank a check, and they're going to give you, $250,000 of your money back. That woman's out her money, but her money was already gone. And she's going to get insurance money now. And so it's an F system, right? It's doomed for failure, right? It's doomed for economic collapse. And then even if you get the cash out, the cash isn't going to be worth anything, which I'm going to cover later in my voiceover. But let's get back to it here.
To us, when you're talking of 8 figures that's in the bank currently.
Yeah, you shouldn't have it in there.
Concern over today's collapse of SVB drove Wall Street lower. The banking sector alone down more than 4%. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen.
There are recent developments that concern a few banks that I'm...
Well, she looks like one of those bankers in the Harry Potter movies, right?
monitoring very carefully.
The immediate concern? The cash-burning startups who have millions in SVB and may not be able to access the money they need to pay bills or make payroll.
Deirdre, given what happened today, how much concern is there about the banking sector overall?
Lester, at this point, the issue seems contained to this one bank. SVB was so heavily focused on these startups.
Yeah, it's just the one bank. Don't worry. Just, your bank's fine. Leave your millions of dollars in those banks, and your $10. It doesn't matter. It's all going to be gone at some point in the near future. So this was a tweet. Somehow I'm getting all of Elon Musk, or some of his tweets are coming through on my phone. Crypto is a scam. Keep your money in banks. Banks are a scam. Keep your money in crypto. And the superhero is sweating. He doesn't know which button to push. And you know what? Both buttons are either one. You're effed. Like there's no solution here. Here's Kramer on this bank.
Capital's offerings. Wait a second. Those dried up last year, they could come back. Yeah, some of them come back here with the stock directly affects an oversold position. Stock was the 4th worst performer in 2022. I think the fears were not justified, and it's a very compelling situation. Hey, by the way, long-term private equity and venture capital, they're not going away. Being the banker to these immense pools of capital has always been a very good business. Stock's still cheap. Now, you have to remember that a stock that falls 66%, like SVB Financial did last year, it takes it a lot more to recover. After losing 2/3 of your value, you need a 200% gain.
So he's telling you that stock is fine. This is what shills do. This is what they all want you to do, is don't sell until the rest of us get out.
To get back to even. This is arithmetic. Some people call it geometry. So you could argue SVB's nearly 40% rally this year is barely a drop in the bucket. And that's how I want you to think it. I think it's also a good example of why these bounce back moves might be far from over. These stocks could have more room to run, especially if you think they were driven down to artificially low levels by tax loss for capital.
So Kramer, fears are not justified. Stock is still cheap at $320. Oversold position, consider stock price, artificial low levels. And so this guy, this is what they do. And it's not just the people who had the money in the bank, it's people who had the stock. So wealth has disappeared. Significant amount of wealth has disappeared. Not enough to crash the system, but enough to show you what's going to happen in the future. YouTube recommended this video to me this morning, Margin Call. This is from 2011. Wonderful movie. I have to watch these movies again, my wife and I. Margin Call and The Big Short. It explains the, excellent films, good movies on their own. Great writing, acting, all these things. And then they explain the financial crisis and the attitudes. It just brings it to life. And it was interesting, this came up on my phone today, right? So Margin Call is about a trading firm that has realizes that it has too much debt. It's gone over the safe limits of the derivative market it has, and they're going to collapse. And so they decide to sell and collapse the market rather than take a loss themselves. And, this is about the 2008 collapse, like I said, and The Big Short is also about that in a different way. And they're both very interesting. But it's coming around again. So I've never had a good financial mind. Like, I'm not a financial person. I had an issue with bouncing checks where I would write a check, and I was in college and I was making a lot of money. I worked a couple different jobs in college. I was living in an apartment, but I was partying a lot. And I'd go to the bank and take out money, and I wouldn't balance my checkbook, and I bounced all these checks. They all got paid, but I had all these these overdrafts and things, and I didn't have overdraft protection. Like, I didn't know any of that stuff, and I got put on a something called check systems, and I couldn't get a checking account or a credit card or any of these things just because I was stupid, like just irresponsible. I'm pretty good at math. I just didn't like money. Like, I didn't like it was just something about it. All my friends were taking business classes, and when people would talk to me about it, it was like the way when you talk to a normie or a sheeple about the truther stuff, I would just shut down, right? And I just didn't like it. Like, I just, didn't understand it, didn't like it, didn't have a good economic mind. I'm a dyslexic, and I have, I'm just a different kind of a dude, right? Like, I just have things that I can't hear that, especially then. This is before I did Sajmarg or Heartfulness, which actually helped me to do things I didn't like to do. It helped me to suffer through things that, one of the great things about doing and again, I don't do Heartfulness anymore. We're doing a meditation called Gratefulness. It's just exclusive to my channel and people doing it. And of course, it's free, and we're all meditating together on Sundays, which I've talked about in other videos, right? So that's that, but it's the same system, and it transformed me, and it helped me do things that I didn't like to do before. It helped me do the things I didn't like to do. And one of those things is when I had this YouTube channel, I saw that the financial system was effed, but I didn't understand it. Like, people talked about it, and other truther, this is back when I watched other truthers, and, people talked about it, and, I understood some of it, but really didn't. And so I went to dive into it, not from the perspective of being a businessman or understanding the financial system from, a citizen's perspective, but from someone who was talking about it on the internet. So this is 2014, 2015, when my channel was just taking off, right? And so I was looking into it, and I watched some videos. There's some good videos, Money as Debt. There's cartoons that simplistically explain it. And I just started to understand, right? The effed nature of our financial system. It was so, much of a relief for me to understand something that dominates all of our existence. And what I realized was the system was insolvent. There was too much debt, and the debt was now wealth in itself with the derivatives market and all these other financial scams, that people are trading debt and IOUs back and forth. The money itself was an IOU. And I really got it. I understood it. And I realized it was insolvent, that it was, the debts outweighed the assets. Our whole system, and these banks were insolvent, but all of it was insolvent. And they were just fudging the numbers because we're all dependent on this financial system. But at some point, somebody was going to blink. It was going to be China. It was going to be, I don't know, Europe or whatever. It was going to be corporations or banks. Somebody's going to, like in margin call, someone was going to blink and cash out. And that was going to cause the system to collapse. Everyone would then realize what many people in the financial system already know, that we're a debt-based system that's insolvent and it's not sustainable. I asked God, I said, all right, when's that going to be? Like, I'm making these videos, and God was showing me things. And the response I got back was 2019, which many of you guys know about. I made a video entitled the Economic Collapse of 2019. And 2019 came and went, and I'm like, oh, good, I was wrong. Like, I was happy that I was wrong, although I did ask God for an answer, and God gave me the answer. And then COVID hit, and I knew I wasn't wrong. I knew that God told me what was, the question that I asked was answered, that, when would it be impossible for them to fudge the numbers anymore, that it couldn't be covered up anymore. And it was 2019. And that's why COVID happened. the shutdown of the economic system, and now all these other things that are going to be rolled out. And so people know, most people don't, but they should know. Everyone should know this. And the other piece to this is this happened with MF Global and this guy Corazine, who got into debt with Jamie Dimon, and who runs the Chase banks, right? The Chase Bank. And Dimon said to Corazine, go into your user accounts. That means your people who invest money in your bank. Take out money out of the user accounts or we'll kill you, right? Like it was like, you owe us, and who are you going to pay? Or ordinary people or, billionaire bankers, right? So that was the kind of the first instance where the bank stole money from user accounts, because the money you have in the bank can disappear any moment. That's why people have a run on banks. And what happened here? And as soon as you realize your bank is insolvent or is screwed, you're going to go run to the bank. This happened during COVID, where my wife and I went to take out cash, and the teller said, we don't have any left. And, that was a very telling moment, right? She said, can you wait a little bit? Because, we'll get money in 4 or 5 days. And I was like, well, what about all the other banks? She said, yeah, they're probably all out of money too. Because there's not that much physical money. The physical cash is like 5% or less of the, total economy in America and, globally. It's all digital now. So you can't even hold the cash, which itself is worth nothing because it's not backed by anything. It's backed by a promise from liars, governments and financial institutions that are all liars. And this is well demonstrated in Margin Call and The Big Short, just in terms of these movies. That scene from Margin Call is a scene where the guy shows up to CEO and he's like, all right, we're selling, right? We're going to sell everything, and we're going to F the system, but we're going to walk away, better off than all these other schmoes who are in the same boat as we are. And so that's, going to happen someday, where some country, people are going to panic, and, some big players are going to cash out, and everyone else is going to be screwed. And they're going to put the money into land, and then there's going to be a reboot of the economic system. Maybe, who knows? Maybe it just goes Mad Max. I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, but it's there. It's the thing that's waiting for all of us, because even if you run to the bank and you get all your cash out, it's not going to be worth anything. And so there's no solution, right? I mean, you can put your money into investing in things that'll be worth something in the future. Food, skills, tools, whatever it is. Things that you can trade. I mean, if you have lots of money, land, these are things that, and the land can be taken away because there's no government. It's like, so, it's whatever it is, right? It's, it's kind of the way the ball's going to bounce, kind of luck of the draw thing for each person. And do you want to survive without, the perks and privileges that you've lived with? So that's, that's what we're all facing. And I don't know when it's going to be. I have no idea. But I know it's coming because it's happened before, not just here, but in, this is an economic system, and this is how it ends. This is a usury-based, debt-based economic system, and this is how it ends. And, your money disappears, right? So all those people, everything above $250,000 in that bank, you've lost. It's disappeared. Who has it? I don't know. Does somebody have it, or does it gone altogether? The value of a corporation, the value is arbitrary. It's subjective. And all those people who thought they had all these millions of dollars in stocks, it's nothing. It's worth nothing. All that money's disappeared. Some people may have taken it, sold it off, and they walked away with money. There's going to be winners and losers. But sometimes the wealth just disappears into thin air because they say, all right, this thing's worth $350 a share, and then it's worth zero, right? And all that money that people thought they had is gone. And wealth is going to disappear in this way. Social Security, you're promised something, boom, no Social Security. That money's gone. The money you put into it, the money that was supposed to be there. And so all these things are just going to vanish as if, by magic. And, that's happening. Our economic system, it's all an illusion. And so it's like a genie, built you a castle, and you live in that castle for 10 years, you start thinking it's real, and boom, you come to one day and the castle's gone and everything you had in it, right? With the people, it's just gone. Like, and you're just out there by yourself. Because it was an illusion, right? It was created by magic, and it's not real. And, and physical life isn't real in itself. And so that's all part of that. But anyways, let's get into these other things. I got a bunch of like little stories to get to, and then I want to get into the International Women's Day. I want to end with that because I want to talk about feminism and all those things. So let's get to it here. Here's one Christopher J. Cuomo's. I used to do a thing called the douche off. They had this handover or passover or whatever they called it, a handoff. And I think they had a podcast that went with it, him and Don Lemons, where Chris Cuomo would hand this show over to Don Lemons, who would do his show. In better times, they both collapsed. And they would have these really dumb conversations. And I would call it a douche off. Like, I would give points, douchey points. Some of you guys remember this. I would give points and, arbitrarily based on the things that they would say. And Cuomo's almost always won, even though Don Lemons is horrible. Because, he's slightly more douchey than Don Lemons, apparently. But here he is, food for thought.
Lines now about Fox News, right? These damning admissions in their lawsuit with Dominion. And I don't know why anyone is surprised. The question is, will any viewers change their minds now that it is clear to them, or should be, they're being played? Murdoch himself.
They're being played because there's proof that Fox News is lying to you. But, CNN never did. It's because CNN's going along with the power structure of the powers that be. So is Fox. Fox sucks. But, this has to do with Tucker Carlson here.
The Fox chief admitted the election wasn't stolen and yet stood by as his channel suggested the opposite. Of course he did. They are a conservative news channel.
This guy.
Part of the apparatus of the political right, especially in prime. Their prime time isn't even seen as news. They just don't tell.
Yeah, Chris Cuomo's, your news. Like, when we listen to you, we know it's facts. Like this is the, inability to self-perceive. Just going out there and pretending that somehow they're so much worse than you are.
Tell you that. And the election drama was good for their ratings. The irony is, that's exactly what they accused the rest of us of. You're just doing this for ratings. No, you were.
You were. It's only one of us does things for ratings. The rest of us, we don't care about ratings. You can see at CNN and whatever he's on now, we don't care about ratings at all. We don't care about, we're not even in business. Like, they're just paying me to come out here and have nobody watch me.
And now it's been demonstrated. It's not really ironic because that's how you play the game. You blame everyone else for doing what you're actually doing.
Yeah, way to be transparent. You blame everyone else for doing what you're doing. That is how you play the game. And you're doing it right now, right?
And they're clearly betting none of you will dare to care. How do we know? Because they're doing the same thing now with January 6th and those shameful events of that day that we all saw.
That we all saw in terms of the cherry-picked film, right? Like, this is the guy, he's so douchey. He just said what the game is, right? You blame other people for what you're doing. That's what politicians do. That's what news media does. He admitted to it. It's that simple. You cast the blame on somebody else, even though you're doing exactly the same thing. Because ratings is how you make money. Getting people to watch is how you make money, right? Yeah, sensationalizing things is how you make money. And a bigger audience is how you gauge success. And so your audience, the amount of people that watch you, is how you can say, oh, I'm successful as a news media person. Why? Because I have more people watching me than the guy I'm competing with on the other channel. That's how it's done in TV land. TV land is the amount of viewers. And now in social media as well, right? That's how you say, look at how many viewers I have. Look how many subscribers I have. I'm not a piece of boop. Like I got these many thumbs up, right? That's how people, interpret success. And you do that by sensationalizing things. We see this, I talked about this with the Cubies. Cubies wrecked the truth community by saying the craziest, most outlandish things. And, people who are producing quality content that's well thought out and intelligent and, based in at least, if it's based in speculation, at least it's reasonable speculation, not crazy, stupid stuff the Cubies put out. But they wrecked it. They sensationalized the truth community. And so, this guy.
Clearly, the GOP is okay in large part with this media manipulation because the Speaker of the House gave the January 6 tapes to a man that he had to know would spin them to play to the base.
You both edited what you saw. You both did this. Like you said, Cuomo's. You admitted to it. And now you're going back on it. Like, this is why he always won the douche off. Because, like, he clearly states things and he exposes himself. Like his brother Nips Cuomo. Remember when his brother got nipple rings? And so, this is what it is. Speaking of this, you are very, very close to being able to ignore Trump most nights. I truly can't wait. I want nothing more. It does feel very close. I imagine things will get nice starting around mid-January. This is an anonymous person. Tucker Carlson, I hate him passionately. I blew up at Peter Navarro today in frustration. I actually like Peter, but I can't handle much more of this. So that's Tucker Carlson's feeling about Trump. Prominent executive 55 who served in Clinton and Obama administration killed on board of jet during severe turbulence over New England. I'll cover this. I'll mention this again tomorrow on my other channel because that's more somebody dropping like flies, but, go figure. So this is JoJo Magoo. What do you got, JoJo?
For anybody who had tough time with their business during the pandemic. So they could pay employees, they could do but guess what? You may remember, I was running for office at the time, but you all may remember it, that I had a big fight with the former president.
No, we don't remember that. Well, you got a great memory. That was I don't know what, 3 years ago.
And maybe future president.
But what? Say that again.
I had a big fight with the former president and maybe future president. Bless me, Father. Anyway, no, all kidding aside.
All kidding aside. Look at his hands. Look at how small his hands are. I wonder whose hands are bigger, Trump's or JoJo Magoo's. One other thing here. This is from Radar Online. So, nuclear attack warning broadcast across Russia tells citizens to take radiation pills and rush to bunkers. Radar Online is the internet version of the National Enquirer. So it's, one of these gossip rags. But sometimes they post things other people don't. It's weird, but once in a while they'll post more truth. And so I'll follow this up. I'll look into this more. I want to get to the feminist stuff now. But, this happened, right? It's there. We're going to start here with Jane Fonda, but I want to talk about the International Women's Day. And I don't care if women have their own day or whatever, multiple days or whatever it is, right? And I don't care if women have their own thing. And, everyone should have their own thing, right? Whatever it is. I mean, I don't, if there was an International Men's Day, I wouldn't celebrate, right? It would mean nothing to me. Like if there was some International Men's Day, and women will say, oh, that's every day. But I don't really celebrate holidays, Father's Day. My birthday is, your birthday is supposed to be significant, but usually I'm just, it's usually a day I'm in a bad mood or whatever, so it's not even like special, right? I'm not less and less into holidays. Certainly as I get older, holidays are more for kids. Of course, there's the bandaras, the gatherings for the meditation I do, Saj Marg, which are important. But more or less, holidays are whatever they are. And I work on holidays. I make videos on holidays. So, and I work on the farm or whatever it is, right? So, they aren't really that important. But the problem I have here, and, I'm not against women getting their own things. Women's movies, women directing movies, women being the protagonist in movies. That's great. That's fine. And if there's a market for it and people want to watch it, great. Again, let the market let the supply meet the demand. But when you try to force things on the rest of us, so I'm going to give you some examples, and then I'm going to do another narrative about this, because there's a bunch of things here. So let's start here first with one Jane J. Fonda. Jane F. Fonda. Oh, no. Jane F. Fonda. Let's go with that. She's on The View.
We have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have.
Look at these. I think they're on that Tom Brady. I want to find that trailer, weird trailer, where these women are in love with Tom Brady, these four elderly women. But she's just always been crazy, right?
We know what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are.
I don't care what the laws are. Okay, so can we come to your house and just take stuff? Because, you want the laws that protect you, right? But you don't care about this law. And you're, were you complaining about January 6th? So let's go find it, right? Let's go find if she was doing that. Well, it didn't say anything about her complaining about the so-called insurrection, but she did get arrested multiple times herself. So she doesn't care about the law, but I'm sure she complains quite a bit about, we've heard her complain about Trump, and Jane Fonda avoids arrest, calls for Trump impeachment, all these things, right? So she wanted him impeached because she feel like he breaks the law. But, when the law suits you, you're great. When it's going to hurt, when the law applies to something that somebody else wants to do but can't, then great, right? But when it's, something about you and your rights, then yeah, I don't care about the law.
We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
The women will rise up. That's the activist. That's Jane speaking.
That's the faketivist speaking.
And she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's
exactly. Let's. I don't care about the laws. Give me a Nobel Prize.
Very soon.
It is the truth. But we're not going to do it.
Besides
gonna
marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well,
it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a
murder. She wrote murder. She later said she was joking, but she's already. This is her logic here, that to keep a law where you're killing fetuses, you have to murder adults. And that makes sense, right? If you want to murder fetuses, you're going to have to murder adults. So good job, Jane. I like the way you work those two things together there. Okay, so let's go to one Madam J expiration date, Madonna. And she says something that's, it's very typical of Madonna here.
I want to apologize to all the women I have called beautiful before I've called them intelligent or brave.
So this is a poem written by somebody else, not Madonna. She's reading it on International Women's Day.
I'm sorry I made it sound as though something as simple as what you're born with is all you have to be proud of when you have broken mountains with your wit. From now on, I will say things like, you're resilient, or you are extraordinary, not because I don't think you're beautiful, but because I need you to know you are more than that.
Is there anybody more into her appearance than Madonna? Is there anybody more superficial than Madonna, Madam Expiration Date? I mean, think about it. She is, her whole life has been around the fashion industry, around modeling, around her look, around changing her look. She's manipulated her face, gotten plastic surgery, all these things. Her face being mocked because of the, bloating because of plastic surgery and all these things she's doing to try to stay young. She's obsessed with being 23, not just in terms of what she looks like, but how she acts. She wants to go back to her glory days. And it's all about youth and youthful appearance and superficiality. She's someone who dwells on the surface. You know, I have video clips of her, you know, all of her beauty merch. I mean, she was one of the first people to merch out on all of her skincare and beauty, and she's got a whole YouTube channel about this. I'm not going to show you that here, but, you know, it's just filled with this stuff, right? I mean, even this picture itself is pretentious, and, I mean, it's all the lighting and all the fake. She said she doesn't, you know, she photoshops her pictures, right? All of that. Let me go find her makeup channel. It's worth finding because it's, you know, it's hypocrisy. This is from her MDNA Skin, the Queen's Routine. That's what she calls herself, the Queen. This is her channel, calling herself the Queen.
I've had every treatment available.
So I've traveled the world. I've been to every spa. I've experienced every rare formula. I've had every treatment available in every country you could possibly imagine, just to find all of my favorite ingredients.
And bring it all to you.
Right? So this is her being obsessed with beauty. This is her channel, MDNA Skin. This is her videos, all these things, right? And she has, you know, I mean, she's merged out on fashion and makeup and skincare, all these things, right? And then she's going to have the audacity to claim that you should talk about more than a woman's beauty when that's her biggest obsession, right? I mean, all these. There's her and Kim Kardashian. I mean, just, you know, I covered this before. This is what she's into. This is what she's concerned about. Everything's about her appearance and staying young. And now she's, you know, going to drop this little gem on International Women's Day. The hypocrisy, Madonna. It's off the charts. Okay, so I got a couple of a trailer and something else. And this is from 2 trailers. And this is a promo. This is the actress known as Jenna Ortega, who played Wednesday in the Addams Family. And she was featured, you know, they're trying to make her a big star. And she was featured with Audrey Plaza, right? Audrey Plaza recently hosted Saturday Night Live. She talked about how she was the most famous person from Delaware. And both of them have this sort of dark, you know, twisted, like a non-emotive, very cold and flat line and all these things, right? And so they're pushing this kind of person. And it starts off here.
Honestly, this is really well written. I don't feel like I want to do the Wednesday dance for promo because we've seen so much of that already, and I think it's time to do something new.
Okay, so these are the writers. These are unfunny guys that are featured now on Saturday Night Live. They're all dressed up like Wednesday.
Yeah.
No?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't want to do the dance either, so.
Oh, okay. I just didn't know because you're all dressed exactly like Wednesday.
Are we?
Is this from your television program?
Yeah.
Again, not funny, and also just emasculating men. Like, this is a program I would assume is for kids, right? Like, this is, you know, I mean, it's on Netflix. It stars a young girl, and, you know, it's teenage school kind of, you know, whatever it is. These guys are in their 20s and 30s here, and they're fanboying over this dance.
Yeah, down to the frill.
What are you talking about?
Wednesday Addams, more like Thursday Jones. I don't even know what that is.
Like, I could say to you, like, why are you dressed like a reporter from the 70s?
Funny.
And it wouldn't be a dream
No, it's not funny.
come true for us to do the dance with you, so let's just not do it then.
I barely know it.
He barely knows it.
Okay, fine.
Are you serious?
This came out on International Women's Day.
Serious?
Yeah.
So I'm going to cut out the music here. They're doing the dance here, you know, boom. Okay, there you go.
Perfect. I think we got it, guys.
Cool.
But you put all that stuff on just to film it?
Damn it.
Okay, so that's number 1. That was exhibit number 1. Exhibit number 2, Peter Pan and Wendy official teaser trailer for Disney Plus.
Tell me, how did you come to Neverland.
It's Wednesday. The first, not Wednesday, it's Wendy. Wendy is a first-person feature here, right? So it says Peter Pan and Wendy, but I assume Wendy is the protagonist, based in just that. She's taking care of her brothers.
Are you Lost Boys? Every last one of us. But you're not all boys. So?
Exactly. Why would the Lost Boys only be boys? I mean, come on. Why would the people in a group called the Lost Boys only be boys? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like, let's just watch it again. Like, finally, we're getting to this.
Are you Lost Boys? Every last one of us. But you're not all boys. So?
So, exactly. Why would the Lost Boys be boys? I mean, in fact, none of them should be boys, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense that a group called themselves Lost Boys would be only boys, or even some boys. It should be all girls. Come on. It's exhibit number 2. So here's Wendy sword fighting. Whoa, she just threw those big grown men out like they were nothing. Peter Pan and Wendy. Again, exhibit number 2. So here is a movie entitled Ghosted, featuring Chris Evans, which we'll get into in a moment. And I forget what her name is. Ana de Armas. They were also in this. I mean, that's not pronounced right. I don't care. Don't tell me that. Don't care. Don't need to know. They were in a movie together. It was, called Knives Out, I think. I think she was in it. I'm not sure. But they're in this movie together. It's on Apple TV. Boom.
I was just wondering if you wanted to, go out sometime.
You want
Boom. He's asking her out.
to get a coffee?
Now?
Yes, now.
Seems like a normal romantic comedy with a man asking a woman out. It's a throwback movie, going back to the days when men would do this, and, they would go out on a date.
I'll just hang on.
Yeah, well, there'd be an annoying buzzer. So, that was supposed to be a joke. But we all knows what happens when you don't put your seatbelt on, right? This is 2023. It's not 1970 when they installed buzzers that would annoy the crap out of you until you plug your seatbelt in.
Her name is Sadie. I mean, I know
Her name's Sadie.
this sounds crazy, but I think she might be the one.
She might be the one. Sadie. She might be the one. They had intercourse. They held hands.
She really is great.
She's great.
You'll see.
Where is she? She's not there. They were together. She was great. She didn't show up.
Any word? She ghosted him.
I bet she isn't even seeing your text.
She does travel a lot for work.
Go to her.
So she ghosted him. So they were together once, and she hasn't responded since.
Going to London.
He's going to London, the financial capital of the world.
So you get it. It's a grand romantic gesture. Yeah, that is amazing, mate. 5,000
It's a grand romantic gesture. This is going to come back around.
miles to surprise a girl who you've only met once, especially if she's the one who ghosted you.
He only met once, and he flew all the way to London.
No, she didn't ghost me. She just doesn't have an international calling plan. Oh, right.
It's a funny movie. It's a comedy. So some guys, big guys, got him.
Where am I?
Oh,
And they're beating him up.
God, you have the wrong guy? I'm a farmer. Wait.
It's a murder hornet. Murder. Jane Fonda with the murder hornet.
Can you walk, Cole?
Look, she's a badass, right? She's got the Clint Eastwood dimple or whatever. All that stuff's going on, right? She's a badass. She's coming in rescuing him, even though he weighs, 60, 70 pounds more than her, and, all of it, that she's rescuing him. Because we've seen this movie a lot, but it's the man rescuing the woman. But now it's got to be the opposite way because it just has to be. It just makes sense, right? Look at her go. She's just whacking guys. Boom. Look at her go. Look at how much bigger this guy is than her, but she can just beat the crap out of him. Boom. Flipping around. Boom.
Are you CIA?
Who are you? She's CIA. Let's watch it again. I stepped on that.
Who are you? CIA?
She's CIA, even though she's has a foreign accent. CIA is always they're always good guys.
So confused. They kept asking me about the tax man.
They asked you about the taxman?
They think I am a tax man. You're the tax man.
Oh my.
Exactly. Why would the tax man be a man? It's obviously a 5'4", 100-pound model from another country, a foreign country, and she's somehow in the CIA, a complete badass, and he's going to chase her around because she ghosted him, and he's,
God. Oh my God.
he's playing the woman's part. Look at him go. Let's suitcase.
Kidnapped and tortured all after one day.
He's complaining about the treatment he's getting.
Rock.
You're the one who flew to London.
You're the one who flew to London, you girl, you woman, you.
It was a romantic gesture.
It was a romantic gesture. There's the comedy. Like, we've seen this movie so many times before, but now they've reversed the roles, which just sucks because it doesn't work. Chris Evans sucks. He sucked as Captain America. He's, very kind of effeminate, very liberal, kind of a tool, but his acting is very stiff. He's not funny. And so, but he's playing the female lead in this movie because that's what they're doing now, right? Look at him. Look at that expression right there. What an actor. What an actor. Like, he worked so hard on that. There he is. Just constantly need to be saved. Tied up here. Just constantly, look at this poor victim. I hope that she saves him.
Get every bounty hunter on the continent. I want her alive.
This is bigger than you and me.
It's bigger than you and me. I got a job to do there, honey. Chris Evans, Anna de Maras.
Did it never occur to you that he could be a foreign asset trying to compromise your mission?
Who the hell are you?
I'm the boyfriend.
He's the boyfriend. Ghosted. Exhibit number 3. That's number 3. Let's go to number 4. Okay, so I tuned into the Dallas Mavericks versus New Orleans Pelican game, and it was an all-female assembly set for broadcast for the Dallas Mavs versus New Orleans Pelican game on ESPN. And then they had this here before the game. So this is the play-by-play person, and Doris Burke, which she does an okay job. She's not great, but, whatever. She doesn't really take away. She doesn't add anything, but doesn't take away. I'm not sure what this woman's name is. She does an okay job. Like, I watch basketball games, and they never are working together. And there's a reason for it, because when they were working together, their voices sound so similar, I didn't know who was talking. And it was awkward, very awkward. They showed a picture of all the staff. So all the women behind the cameras, all the women in the technical booth. I mean, they had it all. They had all these women all doing everything for the broadcast, right? Except playing the game, that was all men, right? And there was some glitchy stuff, some goofy stuff. There was a call where Luka Doncic got hurt, and his, he had a sore thigh, and he got hurt, and he pointed, and Doris Burks, or her, one of the two of them, said he wants out of the game, and they started talking about how he wasn't being taken out of the game, and then they realized he wasn't wanting out of the game. He was pointing to somebody else to pick up his man, in terms of the defense. And so there's some goofy things. Like it wasn't seamless. Let's put it this way. It was awkward, and it was noticeably bad, like noticeably worse than it would be otherwise. Exhibit number 4. Their problem with this, the feminist movement, and there's lots of things I could make fun of, lots of things that are wrong, lots of things I don't agree with. But the only thing I have that's a problem for me, right, that affects me personally, this affects everybody in society in different ways, and, that's part of it. But the only thing that's really noticeable personally is they're trying to force their agenda on us all the time. Their liberal feminist point of view, this woke culture, they're trying to force it on us, right? And, some of the stuff I might agree with, some of the stuff I might think that they have a case, an argument, whatever it is. But it's the force and the indoctrination that they're pushing this on all of us all the time. It's not happening naturally or organically. It's something they've believed in Hollywood. This, not just the feminist stuff, but all of it, the Hollywood morality, and they're just pushing it on us. And it just feels, it's oppressive, because there's no reason for any of these things I just showed you. There's not a real market for it. So that first movie, it's sort of a romantic action comedy. And, women might watch that, but these action movies are more focused towards men. And I've said this so much. And so the male audience that dominates the customer base didn't ask for this, didn't ask for women beating up men. Maybe occasionally you'd find a woman superhero. Men will play female avatars in video games. So, it's not like it's okay, it's never, but it's, pretty much all these movies now. You see models that are very skinny. Size matters in a fight, right? In a physical conflict. Bigger and stronger almost always wins. And you see that, in pretty much every athletic event, certainly in boxing. And that's why they have weight classes in MMA and boxing, because size is a big difference, right? Like a human being trying to fight a bear or a lion or a tiger or something, there's no chance because of the physical size and strength. I mean, even smaller animals can beat the crap out of human beings, right? Little monkeys, because they're physically stronger and they're faster and they're just bad. You could be a black belt or whatever, and a lion's still going to kick your ass, right? So it's, it's just the law of physics, and I mean, it's reality. And so when you see women who aren't as strong and as, gifted athletically beating up men all the time, and it's like a whole thing, why do you even want to do that? Why is that important? Have women long wanted to see women beating up men, and then the men are hitting the women back and punching them in the face, which I've covered. So you're encouraging violence against women. The movies are making it normal for you seeing men punching women in the face or kicking them or doing whatever in fights. And so that's a part of that. But is there really a market out there for women rescuing men constantly, physically, the way that, the hero used to rescue the damsel in distress? Again, a lot of these movies are contrived. A lot of these old action movies, these so-called patriarchal movies that are, women say come from the patriarchy. I could see why you want something different. But women weren't the intended audience for most of these movies anyway, right? They weren't into it. And so you've taken something that is an audience, that's dominated by men, that's made up by men, and then you're force-feeding them your agenda and your point of view, which in a big part is that men are pathetic, weak, helpless, and just, on every level. And, the one thing you used to have is men used to be physical heroes, but now women are better heroes, and women beat up men and all these things. And where's that coming from? Who asked for that? Like, what's the demographic that wants that? And then you make these big budget movies that are intended to, be something that everyone sees, that lots and lots of people see if not at the movie theater, then on TV. And men have to suffer through this and hear about how bad they suck. I mean, the dialogue and these monologues that the women go on, and you hear it over and over again, right? And we're not asking for it. We don't want it, right? We understand your point of view. That's the other thing. Like, who doesn't understand the feminist liberal point of view? Women still have lots of places they can go where it's just for women. There's movies and TV shows that are just for women, that are mostly viewed by just women. And, they have all these things that are left uncontaminated that, that women prefer to watch and whatever it is, right? And men, aren't a part of that. But now you have things that used to be mostly for men, and now women are trouncing all over those things, coming in and, pushing an agenda. And, it's not just women, it's just this whole feminist liberal stuff that they're pushing. And, they slip it in there. I mean, it might be a good movie or TV show, but they slip it in there. They can't, help themselves but to be preachy and be, so arrogant about how right they think they are and all these things. And it's oppressive, right? It's everything that they complain about men. They're doing it in a forceful way. They're doing it in a way where, you don't really have a choice but to watch it, right? This women's basketball game, the women don't even watch the WNBA. Women aren't big basketball fans. And the women who watch basketball don't necessarily need to have an all-women's crew because they're already fans of the game. They're fans of the male basketball, the NBA, right? But there's very few women. It's mostly men. And you roll out this thing, that's just women, they're doing it because that's International Women's Day, and it's just, why are you doing it, right? It's just so, icky. It's so unnecessary, right? It's just, just pushing an agenda. And we get it, right? We know what your point of view is. You don't have to tell us more times. We've already rejected it. And the more you try to force it on us, the more we don't like it. I talk about this to Christians who constantly post John 3:16. You keep on posting that. Who is that for? Because it just irritates the rest of us, right? We appreciate your beliefs. We understand your beliefs. And you're welcome to believe those beliefs, right? You're welcome to have those beliefs. But, stop trying to force it on us in a way that's it's heavy-handed and contrived and stupid. It doesn't work. It doesn't draw people in, right? You just, you can go talk about it where people like you want to hear you talk about it. But the way they've done this, they've taken pretty much everything that's entertainment and contaminated with this woke, liberal, feminist point of view. I mean, it's across the board. It's in everything, It's a period of time when, there'll be a revolt against this and a backlash, and it'll swing the other way, whatever happens in the future. I mean, of course, there could be just collapse. But people who would look at this period of time and watch the crazy, the transformation in commercials to TV shows and how they're so much different from everything before it, and it isn't better, right? But anyways, only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely pointing for the apocalypse and the ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.